Yeah, here we go.
Yes, we are live. Yeah, good afternoon, marvelous entrepreneurs. We are live now. I'm sorry we are late by 14 minutes. There was some technical glitch, but I'm thankful that you are waiting. Like I'm looking forward to you all joining this live. So today we have a special guest with us. I know that many members know her already. She is Julia Weisenberger, the master storyteller, the awesome content creator, and the #1 author of the best-selling book, Yes, You Can. So here we go. I'm giving the mic to her. Please carry on, Julia. I don't know if I've left anything. Carry on.
Perfect. Thank you very much for introducing me.
One more minute. In case you all know that today we are going to deal with the topic of creating awesome content, especially using epic tales. So if you have any questions to Julia, you can post your questions in the comment box. And I mean, as and when her talk progress, even then, like if you have anything to ask her, any doubts regarding the content creation, with especially story creation when it comes to content, ask your questions. Feel free. Let us exploit her knowledge. So here we go. Yes, Julia, take over.
Drop it below. I'm always happy to
yes.
Be able to answer questions. So if you have any specific ones, just holler. Yeah. Okay. Storyflow. That's the name of my program. So I'm here to introduce you a bit to it and to tell you who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and how you can profit from that as well. So my biggest thing was always our ancestors were sitting around the campfire and they exchanged stories. They tried to deliver what they knew about the myths, about how the universe works, everything like that, through stories, because most of the time they were just going to bring out the stories that they had and all of the history that they shared through stories they put in a certain context. So we are like hardwired in our genes, in our bodies, in our brains, everything to listen to stories and to feel connected to them as well. I have posted a question in the group about what epic stories you can remember from your childhood, for example. So we usually always connect stories to our childhood. We feel emotionally connected to stories. So it's the perfect way to connect to your clients as well and to make them know, trust, and love you. And that's the reason I developed the Storyflow concept. Who am I and why am I standing here?
Yes, from the time we remember, like we have been hearing stories, especially epic stories of various characters, and we do tell them to our children also.
Yeah. We always remember sitting at the legs of our grandparents, and maybe our granny was telling us some stories. Usually nowadays it's not so much a mother that sits down and tells the stories. Maybe in kindergarten you get some, but usually you have to get your fix yourself. So you take your books and you read them. So unfortunately, it has been lost a little bit. But on the other hand, it's a perfect opportunity for you to come in then and to deliver stories, because people have not lost the need for stories. So if you can give them that, then it's simply awesome, because people flock to you like, oh, wonderful, you can tell me stories and I love listening to them. So who am I? I'm a translator of more than 50 novels at the moment, from English to German. So I come from an extensive background of the publishing industry as well. I have read more than 50,000 books over my lifetime, comic books, and I watch TV series, movies, so you can talk to me nearly about everything. I have a Master of Arts in one of the most prestigious universities in Germany, the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich. And I was concentrating on educational science, psychology, and religious science. So religious science, of course, also for the stories. There's a theme there. So, and yes, as was already mentioned, I'm the international #1 best-selling author of Yes, I Can of the book. So if you're interested in that, I can give you the link if I haven't already. I'm not exactly sure. And I have trained over 5,000 people at the moment. So I know what I'm talking about. So, how did I start out with the Storyflow technique and with the methods that I have developed? It started when I turned to the online world and started a little bit to dabble in the affiliate system. For those of you who do not know what affiliates are, those are people who are taking a product from another person that they have developed and they offer it for a certain commission, so they get money from the person who produced the product to bring them clients.
Yes.
When I started out, of course, I did not have many numbers that I could show them. So I did that income, or I had this experience and stuff like that. And I figured out that it also sounded a little not like me, because I was approached by friends of mine who were asking me, was your profile hacked? It does not sound like you. So I had to quickly find another system to present the offers that I wanted to promote, because I really believed in them, and on the same time sound like me. And then I came upon the storytelling method. So usually most of the time people know storytelling from the marketing area, where companies like Nike or like Coca-Cola invent some kind of birthing of the company. They try to create some kind of content around that, some kind of story, so they can then go out to the public and promote it. Maybe you remember the Coca-Cola Santa Claus. That's also some kind of story that they really integrate with Coca-Cola at the moment, because it's not really separate. The picture that we have from Santa Claus coming at Christmas time to deliver presents to the children from the person that Coca-Cola has invented, especially for that area. So stories are especially powerful because they touch our emotions. When I started out, I quickly discovered that people do have trouble writing stories. And that's the reason I came up with the Storyflow method. Because for me, it always comes down to show, don't tell. And that's an acronym I've invented. It's like that. So on the first, you have the story. The second is the hook.
Okay.
And the third is the offer. And connected, you will wow your audience. So when you start out with this, what story do you use? Usually it's a story that you feel connected to. Many people are using, for example, things from their lifetime, challenges that they have overcome. But on the other hand, that's very hard to write, because then you have to take your experience and you have to put it in a story. You have to create certain aspects of it just to write it down. So it's very hard for people who have never written a story. But on the other hand, why invent a story, a whole new story, when we all have stories, and we have several of them? Because as I referred to in the beginning, our ancestors have been told stories from the beginning of their lives, and we have also. So why not use those? And then I started to write stories based on the Bible, for example. So we have in the Western atmosphere in the Western culture, usually people connect to Bible stories because they know many of the content at the moment. They have also been a little bit more universally known. So like Noah's Ark or David versus Goliath, that's a content that many people know. And the same goes, for example, depending on the niche that you are targeting. So if you're staying, for example, in India, you can definitely use all of the Krishna myths that we have there, and which you have usually been told by your parents, or at least some kind of relative that they have told you, or maybe your children's books.
But the interesting thing is, like, see, we our parents or grandparents only talked about the moral of the story.
Okay.
But even now, like, it's only now, after getting into the online business industry, we are trying to connect it, like, what is the management perspective that we have got to learn from those stories.
True. That's exactly that.
So and that connection was missing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to with the offer then. So if you have your story, you can try to create a hook that will draw readers in, and that will bring them to click on the more button, because most of the time people are scrolling on their mobile phone through Facebook. And then you can see what kind of offer you have, and you're searching for the underlying message in the story and the offer that you have, and you connect them together. And then you definitely have the wow. So, for example, when I started out, I promoted a free training of 5 days. And then I said, okay, it's totally new. People might be laughing at you when you're joining. So how about we use Noah's Ark? Because in Noah's Ark, people have laughed at Noah when he started to build this amazing big kind of ark that he had plans for.
Yeah.
So you're writing about the ark, which you might have already read about, because there are so many children's Bibles, for example, that you can use because they have a certain an easier language to understand. So if you would totally take a story out of the Bible in the original, it's a little bit tough to read for your audience, maybe, but you can definitely dampen it down and take a little bit of that. And there are more than enough children's books that you can use for that as well. So it's really amazing for that. And we had Sophia. Sophia said she loves Astrid Lindgren. So Astrid Lindgren has very many stories as well that we can use. And when we start out with, for example, Ronja, she's also very famous. I think at the moment there's a cartoon series as well. So she has gotten more to know now than before. And if you take one of the aspects of the story, just one. So, for example, when Ronja and her friend meet for the first time, there's a big gap between. I should start from the beginning. There's a castle, and in it there came some kind of lightning, and it broke the castle in the middle. So you have some kind of gap between them, and they both meet at the roof, if you want to say so like that, and they jump down over this and talk with each other. So why not use that for a story where you say, okay, you try to connect people, for example, with your offer, and then you can use that. So, and Krishna also has very many stories that you can use. And there comes into place my golden rule of one. It's always important that you just take one hero that the person that is reading the story can connect to. You have one struggle and you have one solution, which should tie in to your offer as well. So that's the structure of a story. So you have the beginning with one person, then you have the big conflict, and then in the end you have the solution for that, which ties into your offer or your call to action. Because tell people what to do after you have written your post. Usually they do not know. help them. Yeah. So I have been using, for example, the Bible. I have used the Odyssey. I'm not exactly sure if you're familiar with that. It's a story of the Trojan War. And after the Trojan War, it's a Greek myth where Odysseus tried to get home, and he was experiencing very many troubles on his way home. So you can just pick one of them. And it really all depends, because if you feel connected to a story, you personally, then you can make your content very unique. Because if you show your audience what you really love, you show them that you're a person, you show them that they can connect to you, that they can relate to you, that you are able to give them something that they have been missing for nearly all of their adult life stories. And that's the reason that people flock to you.
Okay. Okay. So, like, how can we weave this story into our offer and hook?
Yeah. So,
and our niche, how can we weave it into our business?
So, for example, if you, well, first you should have an offer that you know intimately. So something that you know people really like, or at least you know exactly what it's about and what it can bring people. So what's the merit of using the product, or of participating in a certain question, or in a certain training or something like that? What can you learn from that? What can you what's the underlying theme of it? So if you're promoting, for example, some kind of training for online businesses, what can they learn from you, and what is the benefit that they can have? And usually you should already know that, because when you do not know what your audience can get out of your offer, then it's really tough to promote something. And if you know, okay, they can get, for example, time freedom, or financial freedom, or whatever it is that you offer them. Let's stick, for example, with time freedom, so they can work from wherever they are. And then you try to find a story where something like that, like a theme of freedom, for example, is connected to as well. So let me quickly see. Time freedom would be something you can decide what time you want to work, and you can work from anywhere in the world. So, for example, depending on what you want to use, we can take, let's see. You can definitely take the Odyssey, for example, because where he started out, he was ingenious. So Odysseus, when you first meet him, most of the time, he's the person who tells the Greeks that they should build a big wooden horse for the Trojans, so they could hide inside the horse. The Trojans would take it into the city, and then they can overtake the city at night, because the Trojans had celebrated, because they thought the Greeks were leaving after more than 10 years of war. So Odysseus was very ingenious and very inventive with the solutions that he had. So if you promote something like a training where you can say, okay, I have several solutions for the problem that you have as well. So, for example, let me be your Odysseus. I will show you the solution to the problems that you have. Just join my training, or join me on explaining how it works for your business as well. And I will definitely open the doors for you, so you can personally conquer your Troy. So that would be an example for time freedom. So it always depends.
Right.
You have the more concrete you are in your offer, the more difficult it will be to find a matching story for that. But usually it's not that I want to buy the coffee, for example. I want to buy the coffee to do something or to reach something, to stay awake, to be able to work more, to be able to spend more time with my family because I'm awake. And that's usually you have the coffee, you stay awake, and then you can do something with your time. So if you know your niche, and you know, okay, either they want to work more or they want to spend more time with their family, that's the underlying solution that you will be presenting them. And then it's much more easy to find a story that has an underlying theme as well that goes into the same direction.
Okay. So, like how can they decide the hook part? Like they use the storyline as the hook, or the something related to their business as the hook?
Yeah, usually it's always you have a secret, you have the 3 steps to immortality, for example, or something like that. So it's there are certain hooks that have been established over time, that they work, that they definitely draw attention, that people really want to use that. So if you are going on about your day on Facebook, then usually if you scroll down your timeline, some of the stories or some of the texts will capture your attention. So take a note of that, because usually the people that you want to target will be connecting to you. So if you want to connect to your clients as well, it would be very good if you could use hooks that also capture your attention, because then you are connected to your people as well. So more or less, you're building your own tribe for using some kind of stories. And that's the reason why I always say you have to know your niche, or at least most of the time the people that you want to target. Because of course you can also educate with stories. So if you have some underlying morale that you want to show them, how do you go about if you meet foreign people, for example, or the Bible is especially good for that. If you take the story of the Good Samaritan, for example, where you say, okay, I don't know you, I don't know what faith you have, what religion you have, for example, but I still help you because I'm a decent human being and I feel connected on a human being basis to you. If you use something like that, then it's also a good idea to tell your clients, okay, it's a good story, and it definitely is much more known as some other stories. So you can build some kind of trust for that, because many people will know it and they will relate to it as well. Because who would not want to be looked upon as a decent human being? We all want to be decent human beings. So if you're connected to the Good Samaritan, and if you can connect that to the offer that you have, people will definitely want to buy it, because we all want to be decent human beings. And you just showed them through your story that if they want to be that, then they have to take on your offer, for example. So
okay.
And I think there are some very good ideas in Krishna and Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, it's actually only very recently I came across this idea of connecting some already existing stories to business. Like if you have seen my personal profile, like I have started connecting those stories to my business. So you can give some tips how people can utilize that. and weave into, some posts.
What was the last question? I did not hear that.
No, you can give them the tips like how they can actually weave all these things and make awesome content.
Yeah, so it all depends on what stories you personally feel connected to. So if the Bible is totally nothing for you, then I would not use it, because people will quickly just think you are in the Christian area, in the Christian field, for example. So if you're just using the Bible, that's not very helpful most of the time. Just if you're targeting Christian coaches, then of course I would definitely stick with the Bible. On the other hand, there are so many stories, so you can definitely use some kind of movie, for example. So how about you become the person who is known for using movie plot lines as the basis for their story? So you are writing, for example, about Tomb Raider, because I did that as well. And it's not very important which of the movies you really prefer, because you can use all of them. But I used the very first one with Angelina Jolie. So she goes to I think it's somewhere in the Eastern Hemisphere, and she connects to the people there. She's nice to them. She talks with them. She wants to connect with them, and she's open for their culture and for the hereditary things that they have there. So why not use that instead of, for example, the Good Samaritan? So the underlying stories usually, or the underlying message of the stories usually is very similar, because they are speaking to the core of a human being. So the connecting plot that they have, either if you take the Good Samaritan or Tomb Raider, or you can take Astrid Lindgren even, she has several stories where you see, okay, people are connecting to other people, and not necessarily on a surface kind of basis, but they dig deeper. So it depends on what you really love.
Yeah, we can also use cartoon movies as well, right? There are some awesome yeah.
Definitely.
And
I just
even
saw that
all the moral stories what the children read. Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw that you have Kung Fu Panda, for example. So it's awesome, because it has so many great themes in there as well. So I'm a big fan of Japanese anime and manga, and most of the time people have not heard of it, or they have not connected to it. And so you can, on the one hand, show your clients who you are by showing them what you are interested in. And you can, on the other hand, be unique with your content, because I think no one else on the planet has exactly the same kind of, I love this and this, and I love that and that. And I have spent so many hours reading this kind of book or kind of stories. For example, we also had Suzanne, and she loved Tolkien. So why not use that, for example, just to put the story and connect it to yourself.
Okay.
But first, you have to figure out what you yourself love, and that's because most of the time people do not spend so much time figuring out what they really like. I think. So they use all the same.
Right.
And if you scroll down through your timeline, and usually, so for me, it's always a little bit the same, because all of the affiliates that I have connected with, or let's say most of them, they are not really unique in their content. It's always the same three plots, or three things, how to connect with your audience, or 5 mistakes you are definitely doing to attract customers, or something like that. So if you are more in the field, it's pretty tough to be unique. And so my approach is really something that nobody else than you can do. So you really are unique. You really
Right.
catch audience. You really connect with them, and it's something that really makes them attracted to you. So then you have attraction marketing, and you do
Yes.
not have to run after them, for example, because they feel connected to you. They know, okay, you can give me my fix of emotions because I beat your content every time, and it's different from the others. So I really want to connect with you. I
Right.
really see what you have to offer more, what you believe in, for example, because let's be honest, do not sell any product that you do not believe in. And people will definitely trust you
So
after all.
what you said is 100% right.
Yeah. So
What you
that's
said is
something.
100% right, because yeah, it's only the last 30 days. Like I'm actually writing content every day. Earlier, I was very irregular. So once I started writing story-based contents, like I started getting inquiries asking, like, whether can you handle our social media? Can you handle my Instagram? So like that, like I'm getting that works. That works. What you said is 100% correct.
And that's the reason people usually cannot, or at least they think they cannot write stories. And that's the reason that I invented Storyflow, Epic Tales, because I said you have to have some kind of framework where you know how to use it. And on Wednesday, my program will start. It's for 12 days at the moment. So if you want to be a part of it, then feel free to connect to me, and I will definitely hook you up with the information for it. And it's really, you have to be unique. You have to stand out from the crowd. You have to concentrate on the offer that you have, and in what terms is it different than the other offers that are out on the planet. And especially if you're in affiliate marketing, usually there are so many people who are offering the same thing. And maybe if you have been adding friends for more than a time and you're going to the 5K friends, you have been approached by several people offering the same product again and again and again and again. And it's always the same. So to be able to stand out, especially as an affiliate, but also for the offer that you have, is critical in these times. So to have a basis of customers that really trust you, that really like you, and they feel connected to you.
Right. Do you have any questions for Julia? You can ask any content creation doubts if you have. Okay.
I don't think so. But we have.
We haven't got any questions. Yes. So.
But don't worry.
Yeah.
Let me. I have something.
What other things apart from this story hook offer? What are the? Is there any other things that we have to take care of while creating these content?
I think very important is to do your research. So it's always, yeah. I will get back to the question of Shweta.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes.
So it's always,
Shweta, one second.
yeah. So do your research beforehand, because if you take one of the stories that you really feel connected to, maybe there is some kind of other story as well. So, for example, when you start using fairy tales as a basis, which you also can, there are different versions of the fairy tales. Maybe you are familiar with the Brothers Grimm. They are very famous for their fairy tales here in Germany, but many of them are based on French fairy tales. Even the word fairy tale is from French. But the funny thing is that the content is very different. So if you have watched, for example, Disney Cinderella, the original tale does not have any kind of a good fairy or something like that in the Brothers Grimm. Funny enough, in the French version it has. But in the Brother Grimm's, for example, it's a tree that she planted over the grave of her mother, and she always goes there, she prays, and she asks her mother for help, and then she gets 3 different dresses for 3 different nights of the ball. So it's always a little bit different. So if you feel connected to a story, maybe dive a little bit deeper. See if you can unlock anything that the average person does not know. And then you can even surprise your clients because you really dug deep, you took the time to do your research, and maybe something, if you're into history, that's very important as well. So when I started out, I used one story from Julia Tofana, and she was a very famous poison maker in, I think it was in the medieval. So she started making poisons and she put them in cosmetics, or at least she said she was delivering cosmetics, and she brought the poison to women who were severely beaten by their husbands, and they could not divorce at that time. So, well, they took another means of getting rid of their husbands. So I found it very fascinating that this woman has rather been forgotten over time, and it was really cool to just research a little bit more about it. And if you have researched, then maybe you will not just get one post out of it, but you will get 2 or 3 maybe even, because you can also do your research for that. And you can say, okay, and when I dug deeper, I found this hidden gem, for example. And you can definitely show your clients that you are invested in really giving them some kind of deeper knowledge about it. So the question was...
Awesome. Yeah.
She's
Shweta wants to know, like, she is into podcasting, and like, how is there any suggestion for her to create content based on stories?
It's nearly the same. So do we know what area she podcasts in? Because that would be helpful.
Which is your niche, Shweta?
Let me quickly see if
What is your niche? Because then Julia would be able to help you better.
Let's share, let's grow. I think it's some kind of life coaching. That would be for the first one. No?
No, I don't think she is into life coaching. Experiences and stories. Okay.
So
which industry?
Yeah. It goes into that direction, I think. Value stories. Okay. So there are so many in there. And it depends if you are focused more on personal stories, or if you also go into historical stories, or if you are going into your personal stories. So are you sharing your own life experiences, or are you using the experiences of other people's as well? More value. So for the more value, definitely you can use nearly everything. Like we said, with a good Samaritan, for example, or I think there might even be some stories from Krishna where you can base some kind of rule for life, something like that.
I think, as Julia already mentioned, like, we have to look into the unseen side of the story. For example, we all know the story of the tortoise and the rabbit, the race between tortoise and the rabbit.
Yep.
I mean, we have been hearing it, yeah, right from the time we remember. But then, like, there are various aspects of that story, like Why is it? Because like, what is the reason why tortoise won, or what is the reason why the rabbit lost the race?
Yeah.
So some say the rabbit was overconfident. Some say the tortoise kept on pursuing, so that perseverance paid. So that is how like we can relate it to, I mean, in terms of management, because I always think in terms of online coaching and business.
Yeah.
So
the
as Julia already said, yeah,
I think
we have to see like what others have not normally seen.
So the empty cup is a very well-known story, at least in the spiritual area where people go to most of the time. So, for example, I think you're referring, please correct me if I'm wrong, you're referring to the story where you say, okay, you have to, where the student comes to the teacher and the teacher just keeps on filling and filling and filling the tea. So the cup overflows and he says, okay, how shall I teach you something if your cup is already full? So empty your cup and come to me again and we can talk about educating you. So please correct me if I'm wrong with that, but that's a very well-known story, at least in the spiritual area where I dabbled something in. So it's...
Even in business coaching, it is there. We use that story.
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I would definitely look for maybe stories that have not been used as widely. So what you can definitely do is you can look for historical problems, for historical lives, for example. That's always very interesting. Maybe Google what happened on this day. There are some kind of way you can say something like this day in history or something. If you are looking for some kind of inspiration daily, you can definitely, just before you start again, do something like this day in history in Google, and you will definitely see several dates, what happened on this day throughout the ages. And then we have, then we have also religion, of course. So if you're taking religion, there are so many stories that you can use for that as well, where you can see moral life lessons. I'm sure that many people know Sisyphus, but I'm also sure that many people do not know what he all experienced and how it all started. So usually you connect Sisyphus in your mind with a person who is down in Tartarus, and he has to push this stone up the hill, and shortly before he reaches it, it goes down again and he has to start over. So if you're interested in that, check out his life story. Check out how he landed in Tartarus, because that's very interesting and that's very fascinating. So if you can find something that's not been widely used, then people will be much more interested in that. And for historical people, for example, you can always use Quora. So that's something that I really love to use. I will, let me quickly see. I put it in here. Oh, no, I forgot you. Quora.com. So that's the name of the website that I'm using. Let's go.
Okay.
We'll leave that. So, and it's fascinating because people are always asking questions, and I get an email every day, one from English and one from German, because I have several ones, and they show me several questions from people that they have asked. So if you definitely take a look at that and you just put in a little word in the beginning in the search area, you will be flooded with answers to many, many questions. And it's really fascinating because there you can find really obscure questions and obscure answers, especially. I would definitely take a look then and research a little bit more, because sometimes it's unfortunately not there. These are people answering you, so they might be mistaken about something. So do a little bit more research on the topic then. but it's really amazing to use as a source for inspiration as well.
Yeah, very true, very true. And especially like if you take Indian epics, there are two epics. One is Ramayana and one is Mahabharata. Both epics has got thousands of small stories inside them. Thousands, especially if you take Mahabharata, there are numerous. So that itself is matter for you to make stories for couple of years.
Yeah, for the rest of your life usually. But keep in mind, if you're targeting Indian markets, then it's a good idea, because most of the time people will really feel connected to it. If you're targeting a more worldwide audience, then make sure that you are explaining some of the things that happen in there, because some of the time people from Western cultures, they might not get everything like that. So when I remember, I'm a big Bollywood fan. So when it started out, I also watched the first Bahubali, for example. So Bahubali is also perfect, because when he started to climb this mountain, you can definitely use it as don't give up, persevere. And I think in your area, it's definitely more perfect than the turtle and the rabbit. Just take Bahubali. So he never gave up, and he persevered, something like that. So people will feel connected to that as well. And it's really something, when I started out, I immediately connected to it, because I like the songs, I like the colors, I like the dresses, I like the atmosphere and everything like it. So it's really, sometimes for Western people, it's a little bit more tough. So when I go outside and I say, oh, I really love Bollywood, and I love the movies, and I love the songs.
I know.
I'm not exactly sure why you really like them, because they're singing, and I'm saying, yes, I know, but I also love the Disney movies where they sing as well, and I'm a big musical fan. So at the moment, Hamilton is very big for the American Constitution and how it got developed and everything like that. So Hamilton is awesome. You can use that, because they also have very good catchphrases you can use. So if you feel connected to something like that, and for example, in Bollywood, they have some kind of saying or something that they tend to use, or that they tend to always repeat, how about you will be known for that? So you are the person that's doing affiliate offers or whatever for offer, and you have these catchphrases, for example. So it would really make you stand out and make you unique, because it's really something that other people will not be using, I think.
Right. Yes. Any more questions? Because
we're nearing the end. But always feel free to come. I'm always happy to answer questions. And if you're interested in my Storyflow program as well, in the 12 days that I will be teaching, we have 2 Zoom calls for every person. So you can definitely connect with me. We can go over your individual situation, and we can figure all of your lovely stories.
Maybe you can share the link, Julie.
Yes, I will.
Maybe you can share the link so that if anybody is interested, they can join.
Yeah, wonderful. I will.
Love you, Shweta. So I don't see any more questions coming up. Like in case if we have questions, like I'll just forward it to you so that you can answer, and we can
sure,
inside the group.
Wonderful.
So that was actually a wonderful session.
I had fun. Thank you for having me.
That was it. Yeah, we should be thankful. Like we got to know a lot of things on how we can make content using stories, which we haven't thought of all these days.
Yeah.
See, I know that like once I did a live training inside the group on content creation, there were a lot of people who were clueless. How can we write stories? How can we write content? So for all those members, you can take these tips, make use of these tips and start writing. See, the first and the foremost thing which is very important is you start writing or start making the content, because obviously your first story maybe was, but then like your 10th story will be better than the first. And yesterday I happened to read this saying by Grant Cardone. See, your first story is better than your somebody else's zero story. So please just go ahead and start creating your content.
Yeah, do it definitely, because it's really, you have something to give, and it's really unique because no one else loves the things that you do, and no one else sees the things that you do. So we would really miss out if you would not write your stories and if you would not share with the world who you are and what you really love.
Yeah, not only that, like as Julia pointed out in the beginning, see, nowadays any social media platform is having so much traffic in that. Like, if you really want to stand out, your content has to stand out. And this is one awesome technique which you can apply.
Yeah.
To create your impression, to create your brand, to stand out, and to attract your leads and audience.
Yeah, definitely.
So with that, yeah, I think like we'll wind up the session because already the time is up for Julia. If you don't have any questions, yeah. Do you have the last call? Do you have any questions coming up?
Let's wait a little bit and then we can wrap it up if there are no more questions. If there are, as always, feel free to reach out or get in touch with me through the group. I will also be informed about that.
Okay. So since I can't see any questions coming up, see, I thank Julia once again for coming to this group and sharing these wonderful ideas. This is a really like golden nuggets. Like, I myself learned something new, and I'm going to apply this for sure.
Wonderful.
So looking forward to more sessions like this, and thanks for joining this group, because I want real gems like you inside my group, because it's my dream to have a wonderful group where people come, share, and learn and grow together.
Wonderful.
So once again, Julia, thank you. You please share your link of the training program inside this, so that like if anybody is interested, they can.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I have just one request, like, since in case if you're watching this as replay, kindly type #replay. If you have any questions, post in the comment box. Use these techniques and tips what Julia shared, so that like it can be an inspiration for me to bring more guests inside this group. So until we meet next, stay safe and stay marvelous. Bye from me and Julia. Bye-bye.